Well, hello, this is Farrell Yoakum with Discipline that Reaches and Teaches, and I wanted to present a follow-up video to my last one, and basically what I want to do is to talk about overcoming fear of students' reactions to discipline that may happen in your room. Overcoming that fear requires a combination of some things. It requires a self-awareness of your own emotions, if you know what I mean, and it requires some preparation, thinking about what to do, that you're wanting to hold your students accountable as you should, and what you might do if they resist that. And then just consistent practices. To have an effective classroom, you have to be consistent. Students are looking for that. There's not a lot of consistency in the world these days. You should be a consistent leader. And that kind of consistency, along with holding them accountable, will develop a true trust and respect in your classroom. And so I want to talk about a couple practical strategies. I have a true story I want to relate to you. Won't have time to tell it from beginning to end, but at least the kernel of it will be important. But one of the things is that you've got to work at developing some strong relationships with your students. That takes time, and you can't do that with all of your students, but spend some time getting to know a few of them. Other students are going to see that you care enough to get to know other students, and it might be them next, but they'll see that. It'll help your reputation a whole lot. And the main thing, though, I wanted to relate today in this overcoming fear of students' reactions is remember that no matter what happens, you must stay calm. You must stay confident. You must stay in control. It is your classroom, and you are the king of your classroom. You're the boss of your classroom. You need to take your place and keep students in their place. You're the coach, they are the players. And while they didn't choose to be on your team necessarily, they are on your team, and getting to know them will help a lot. So stay calm always. And let me tell you the story. First of all, I had a lot of trouble with that and staying calm, and I may tell you a story about some things that happened to me when I lost it. But this is a true story about a teacher that worked for me at one of the schools that I was running some years ago, and he had a brand new student that walked into his room. He taught history, and we'll say the teacher's name was Mr. Smith, and we'll say the student's name was Phil. And so Phil walked into the classroom. He actually came in the middle of class because he had just come to school that day and went to, I think it was second period. Mr. Master taught history, and he gave his lesson, finished up his lesson, and he, as was his habit, a little bit before the bell rang, he stopped his teaching and asked students to get ready for the switch, but if they had any questions that they had about the lesson. And so Phil raised his hand, and the teacher said, "Yeah, Phil, what can I help you with?" And so Phil said, without really changing his stance at all, just looked straight at the teacher and said, "Yeah, I think you like guys in tight pants." Well, immediately the students were all abuzz. Buzz, 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 what's going on? What's Mr. Masters going to do about this? And Mr. Masters was an experienced teacher, and he'd learned these things, the things we all need to learn. He was very good at being calm. He stayed calm. And he told me later about the story. He said he kind of scratched the back of his head, looked down a little bit. He said his practice is to count backwards from 10 to 1 before responding. And that's what he did. And it's close to the time for the bell to ring, which would be nice to end that situation, but it hadn't happened yet. And he said, "Well, Phil, I'm really glad as a brand new student that you felt comfortable in asking a question. Now, I'm not exactly crazy about your question and what you had to say, but I'm glad that you felt that you could do that in the classroom today." And miraculously, the bell rang at about that time, and the students went out. And of course, this was a junior high school, so of course those students are all abuzz about what's going on. These were 8th grade students. And they went outside talking about what happened. "Hey, we had this new kid named Phil. What did what Mr. Smith do?" "Well, he just said, I don't like what you had to say. Glad you." So they were amazed at him, and his reputation went up. And actually, that student developed a lot of respect for him because of what happened there in that classroom and later. See, the students who knew him had respected him because he had developed that kind of a reputation. Phil didn't know him. You're always going to have something happen, no matter how good your reputation is, of somebody who might challenge you. And when that happens, remain calm and be that calm, cool, confident professional that knows how to handle anything that happens in the classroom. So if you like this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Help me out a lot. And until next time, Farrell Yoakum with Discipline that Reaches and Teaches.